Hello, everybody. This is Linda DeVitas, owner and founder of healingsonthego.com. I am the host of Linda DeVitas with Healings on the Go. I'm a psychic clairvoyant medium, certified healer, dolphin healer, magnified healer, professional space clearer, candle manifestation channeling, and a whole bunch more. To see all the services that I offer, go to healingsonthego.com. I would like to welcome my special guest today, Matthew PInard. Yay! Welcome, Matthew. How you doing? Nice to
Yeah,
have you back again.
right. Thanks for having me again. It's always a pleasure. This is a wonderful show,
Thank
and
you.
I thoroughly enjoy talking about these subjects.
Awesome. And I was thinking about your look because you have so many features. And some people ask me, they're like, okay, well, if he was Jim Morrison, what kind of features are similar? They go, look at him by his mouth. Tell us the most similarities,
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy growing up. I certainly saw the movie with Val Kilmer, and he did a phenomenal job. Not everything in the movie was perfectly accurate, but I was buying his CDs when I was a kid, and I was like, man, why does my upper lip look like this guy? And why do I have the same mole here? And why do I have the same middle name? And why do I know these lyrics? And it was just like, to me, it was like this kind of secret enigma that I had to try to, code, like crack a code. There was something there. And I knew he had buried something deep in those lyrics that probably only I would be able to figure out and decipher. And, I think that's ultimately what did happen.
And tell us, because I know he spoke in codes. Can
Yes.
you tell us one of his songs that he was like symbolic? I
Yeah.
know
So
there's many of them, but go ahead.
there's so many that speak about this relationship between he and I, and then also our relationship with Mother Mary. And he refers to her many times as Passion Lady. He even changes it to Ashen Lady because he knew that I would be in front of a statue of her many years later, and she would look ashen because it's an idol, of symbolic religious beliefs. So one of the biggest songs, in my opinion, is two of them actually, "Waiting for the Sun" and "The Unknown Soldier." So "Waiting for the Sun," he talks about waiting for you to come along, waiting for you to hear my song, waiting for you to tell me what went wrong. So it's kind of this plea to his half brother, or his fraternal twin. It's my belief. I believe I've proven it in the books, is that I was with him in his life,
Wow.
which is kind of crazy if you think about that, because that means prior to my birth.
Wow.
So yes, and then he screams out a lot about, Jesus save us and Passion Lady. So he's crying out to the other kingdom because he's, obviously recognizing the horrors of this world. He lived through the Vietnam era, so that must have been a complete head trip for him in terms of violence and unnecessary war. So "Waiting for the Sun," yeah, some of those lyrics are, "At first flash of Eden, we race down to the sea." When I wrote my first book, there was an event where I was living near Lake Michigan, and this incredible glimpse of the other kingdom did come through. So I believe he literally could see 50 years into the future, not only where I would be, but where, heaven and earth would be in terms of synergy or lack thereof.
Wow.
Another one's "The Unknown Soldier." So it was an amazing reference because I did spend 4 years in the Army, and most people don't really know about my background, but I was Army Achievement Medal winner. But he talks about in that song, "Wait until the war is over and we're both a little older."
Wow.
So this is an instruction and a direction for me. So he knew I would be at this precipice. He knew I would have this service record. He knew I had the ability to witness Eden coming to earth, right? And the gates being cracked open. But he's saying, wait, hold on. Don't give that all away yet. Let's wait till we're both a little older, and we have greater wisdom, greater spiritual wisdom in terms of when's the perfect timing for this to bring what Jim referred to as the other kingdom of heaven to earth. And, I lived through things like 9/11. I was almost sent to Iraq and Afghanistan myself. So I know exactly what it's like to live through. We've become this world where wars are started on a whim, right?
That's
And
right.
we're living through one right now. And if China goes into Taiwan, it could get even much dicier for the entire planet. So
And
yeah, those are some of the things that he talked about that were very prophetic in my mind.
Yes. Quick hello to Anne. Welcome, Anne, and welcome to everybody that's watching. Please do like and share. Tell us about the Feast of Friends.
Yeah, so, Jim is my opinion that he foresaw his own death, but then he also foresaw his rebirth.
Wow.
And most of his lyrics, my opinion, were this next life of his. So one of the things he talked about was prefer a feast of friends to the giant family. To somebody who may not be spiritual or may not even believe in life after death, that would sound like, drug rant gobbledygook, right?
Exactly.
But what he was really saying is, I prefer to be here with friends on earth, having feasts, than with the giant family. The giant family would be a reference to that spiritual world that we all have to go to one day,
right,
when we die. So that was what he was talking about there.
Do you believe in the lower dimensions of most people call hell?
I do, because I've experienced it. And
Wow.
so on that note, one of the other, you asked about the songs that kind of refer to this connection between Jim's life and mine. One of the biggest one is Shaman's Blues. And it's probably one of the least played on the radio. But Jim always wanted to really be a shaman. And ultimately, towards the end of his life, he was looking at leaving the music industry for many good reasons. But he said, basically, there will never be another one like you. There'll never be another one who can do the things you do. Please stop and remember we were together. So again, all these references to someone else coming after him that he would be in some way connected to, that would have abilities, like you mentioned, psychic, clairvoyant, medium, healer. I've been fortunate to be able to do those things as well.
Yes, that's awesome. You have your gifts too with the clouds. I love it. And let's show a quick picture of the clouds if we can.
Yeah, and I'll talk about real quick what's happening here. So there's a lot going on in this photo, this collage, and these were all taken at different times. But to the top left, my opinion is, you can see pretty clearly that that's the fallen entity, the fallen angel, Lucifer. You see dark sunken eyes and a red crown on his head. To the right, in my opinion, is Christ coming right through dimensional portal. Right there, you can see a face, a nose, lips, mouth, a beard. To the bottom right looks to me like a diving Holy Spirit or paraclete. And then to the bottom left, I see Mother Mary in a veil. You can see the crease in the veil. You can see 3 different color orbs right above her forehead.
Wow.
So the reason I chose these for this show is that is exactly where I think this world presently is at war. And you can see the top left guy steering a lot of agendas with wars and with elite agendas and people that have enormous amount of wealth and power in the world. And he's going to naturally gravitate towards that because he realizes he can get the most bang for his buck in terms of controlling the rest of us. Wow. But if you look at the other 3, I will promise you from what I've seen that they are at work and they are in motion. And I think that we need to do a better job of, I try to do every morning asking what can I do today to help save this planet? Because I think, Linda, you and I have talked about it, but I don't care what your net worth is or your celebrity status or lack thereof. The world in general right now is in a real terrifying position.
It sure is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, things are going on, and I think, other things are going to happen, but I guess we came here to uplift the energy and just pray. And everyone, the more that prays, as the Bible says, the better, the stronger. So we just have to pray that everything will get better. But I believe things sometimes get worse before they get better, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. And on that note, there's some amazing things, in my opinion, if I can draw them to attention here. But if you're a believer in Revelation, which I am, not only has most of those chapters started to come true, but I was just looking at a couple events of just this past week. So if anyone is even doubting what I'm saying here, look at this past week. So on that note, I just happened to notice there were 3 earthquakes on one day. And if you took the magnitudes of those 3 earthquakes and added them up, it came to 16.8. I went up and I looked up Revelation 16.8, and it mentioned fire being brought down to burn humanity. And so at the same time that these earthquakes happen, we've got massive wildfires in Canada, which doesn't even look like anyone can pinpoint how they started so quickly and dramatically and all over the entire continent there. We also have a major event that just happened. It's not getting as much press, but out here in Las Vegas, it was a pestilence of these bugs that smelled like burning flesh. I mean, and they were all over the road, all over people's cars. People
The
couldn't
bees.
couldn't even walk without stepping on them. I mean, these are very apocalyptic things that are happening. And, if you're a believer in a creator, my opinion is he's desperately trying to get all of our attention.
Well, you know what the bees stand for, right? The bees are healing energy. They're trying to uplift the energy. They say a lot of people are scared of bees, but actually they're trying to uplift. That's why a whole bunch of them came. They're like trying to uplift the energy, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nature responds to these, it's like when the animal, the horse or whatnot can sense an earthquake before we know when's going to happen. They're very tuned in, right, to energies and fields. And, if you're a believer in the Sherman Ascension, people measuring the Earth's energy wave fields that are fluctuating in massive amounts right now. So there's a lot of things happening that I think that we can't ignore, whether you're a spiritual or religious. I have a lot of friends that are, well, I'm not really religious. Well, that doesn't mean you can't be spiritual and can't recognize that something's not right here.
Exactly.
And a shift needs to happen.
Exactly.
Right. So that's what I'm hoping, that's what I really think that ultimately Jim was trying to say in his music. And whether his true fans grasp that or not, I think they did. I think, I've encountered a woman who believed he was a prophet. That's my belief.
Yes, I did too.
I've sent my books to Catholic priests. I've been called a mystic by one of them. So I think that all I'm trying to do is finish where he left off, because I think he's one of the most interesting characters in history, but also probably one of the most misunderstood.
Exactly. I believe so too. And tell us more about your experience in hell, because a lot of people will be interested.
Yeah. So the thing what I can tell you about that is, imagine a state of agitation that you cannot get relief from.
Wow.
Yeah. Imagine being I mentioned in the last episode, I'd written one of my books and my wife found me kind of tossing and turning. I've had things fly across the room.
Wow.
I didn't even mention this last time, but my wife one night was watching a serial killer movie, and I went to bed because I used to work on murder scenes with the military, actual ones.
Wow.
And I can't look at too much of that stuff. But I woke up and this entity was in my room, and it looked just like my wife from behind.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Thing turned, and its face went black, and it vanished into the wall.
Oh my God, that's so scary.
And it was. And then about a few nights after that, I had Lucifer's face rotate down like a funnel cloud from the sky. And
Oh my God.
It was very similar to that picture we just put up. But my point is anybody that says that those realms don't exist or those fallen energies don't
It's
exist,
not true. Exactly.
it really needs to look at what we're talking about in the photos.
Yeah, because they are lower dimensions and there are higher dimensions. It's both. And a quick hello to Ria and Helen. Thank you guys for watching. Please do like and share.
Hi, Ria. Love Ria. Tell everyone Ria is Linda's sister.
Yes, Ria is my sister. Welcome, everybody. So, yeah, there is a balance of the yin and the yang. So it can't be just all good. It's also bad, too. And they, believe it or not, scientists have proven that there is a black planet where they believe the angels where the darkness is, and they're actually being thrown on Earth. Why don't they throw them somewhere else?
Sure. So on that note, what is, I'm very much into quantum physics. What is antimatter?
Yeah, exactly.
What is anti-light? What is antichrist? What is happening at CERN? A lot of people believe that those particle colliders at CERN are deliberately bringing these fallen energies to our realm.
Yes.
That's a mind trip right in and of itself. Now, quantum physics supports that because scientists have proven there's 11 dimensions.
Wow.
Not just the couple that we see, right? And so part of having a third eye, I'll tell you this, you mentioned hell. I know when I'm being shadowed by a higher arch of light, or Mary herself, or Christ, I'll get a major spine tingle down my spine. That's really wonderful feeling. Versus if the lower ones are around, I'll just be total. I don't want to get off the couch. I have no energy. I'm being pushed down. So you can definitely try to learn how your body senses them. But yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, we're in a real battle right now. And, maybe next show, I'll show you, I was flying on an airplane to California, and I took a photo out my window, and I'm not kidding you, clear as day, a red demon next to a big white angel right in the sky. It
Wow.
was not a Photoshop. It wasn't a blip. It wasn't a lens problem. It was right clear as day.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So the reason, part of my breaking my silence and telling Jim's story is, number one, I wanted to, in many ways, vindicate his life, because I think that so many people thought, you mentioned hell. He said, I'm going to be dead and in hell before you're born.
Wow.
Well, he had knowledge, but see, it was just like after Jesus got crucified, he went to hell. Do you remember? And a
That's
lot
what
of it
they
was
say.
to free souls. So Jim knew he was going to be a sacrifice. He knew he was going to that realm, but he knew that I was coming after him to backfill his life and to explain his life. So that was a lot of the reasons for putting these things on, CDs that I could find later, growing up as a kid.
Wow, wow. So I was going to ask you, what are the positive effects of Jim? Like, something that you absorbed from that life that it reflects on this life, and the positive and the negative. We would like to hear.
So if it were not for him in his life, and so what I really do think happened was, he said, I'll be dead in hell before you're born. But I think what happened was at a point in my life, probably when I was at a very low point or being attacked by the other realm, the fallen realm. Some people call it a walk-in, but I think he did walk in, and that's when I started piecing all of his lyrics together the most, and realized truly we were together, and truly we will always be together. So I think it was a walk-in. It was right around the time I was writing my first book. And then I thought I was writing one book, I told you, and now I'm on 8.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
it's amazing, because you could take almost every song
Mm-hmm.
that he recorded and his band recorded, and I could take many things from each one and prove this theory of mine.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, yeah, it's not just omniscience and premonition. It's the way I look at it is he literally ripped a hole in time and space. It was like he ripped a hole and he said, I'm going to poke my head through, and I'm going to see in 2023 what's going to be going on here.
Wow.
And then where his brother would be, where his half brother would be. So yeah, I think even though it's tragic, I think it's one of the most beautiful stories. And anyone that thinks he's dead is wrong.
Exactly. He's living in you.
Yes.
It's amazing.
And by design, all of this was planned. He spoke in the song, The End. This is the end of our elaborate plans. So he's talking about Passion Lady being involved in this elaborate plan, myself prior to birth. This was very, very thought out and well constructed. And then the lyrics were crafted in a way where there would be no doubt. For those of you that want to come along this journey, I realize some people are going to watch this and say, that guy's crazy. I don't care. I'm not.
Who cares? Yeah.
This is the truth. It really is the truth. And it's really what he was talking about. And I think it's really what drew people to his music.
Mm-hmm. What do you love from that lifetime being Jim?
I'll be perfectly honest. So Jim said, where's the wine, the new wine, dying on the vine? And I've got my little white wine here tonight. So the dying on the vine. So Jim, that was a little veiled thing between he and I. He knew I'd be working in corporate America, which he would call spiritual death on the vine, the corporate vine. Yes. One of the things I miss is singing live. I mean, it's just one of the greatest joys ever. And you have a whole crowd of people there. And I don't know that will ever happen again for me. But what's funny, Linda, was, and you could go and listen to Jim's bandmates. They said when he first started, he couldn't sing at all.
Wow.
And so that's where I think, and my voice is now stronger than ever. And trust me, I've done this when no one's around, and I can hit every single note that we laid down on all those tracks. So, maybe it was a blend of our voices. Maybe it was me coming in and giving him the voice, but that was where the lyrics came from. It was this incredible time-space warp that, I think only could have happened because of the glorious 60s. And that's the other thing I miss too about the 60s. It was, in my opinion, it's far more free. Were those people running around talking about vaccine cards and vaccine passports and brain chips? You could go wherever you wanted. You could pretty much do whatever drug you wanted to try and expand your mind. And so those things I miss. I miss playing live. I go back and I listen to some of those live concerts, and that band was a well-oiled machine. And anyone that says Jim was this drunk on stage is not listening to those live tracks, because his voice was rocking back then.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned, everybody. Hi, I am Linda DeVitis. I am a psychic, clairvoyant medium, and certified healer. I have also written a book, My Journey from Darkness to the Light, which is available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and on my website, www.healingsonthego.com. If you would like to book an appointment with me, call me at 917-929-4935. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to my special guest, Matthew. Matthew, welcome.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful. I love these discussions.
Yes. So let's bring up the Kiss the hunter of the green vest who was wrestled before the lions in the night mean. What does that mean?
Yeah, so almost everything that he spoke of was prophecy. And what he's talking about there is my service. So in the Army, we wore green vests. So he's saying a guy's going to come along who is wearing a green vest in the military and has prior past life experience hunting lions of the night. Now, you sit there and you ask yourself, what's this guy talking about, lions of the night? Is he talking to like Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer and the lions in Africa? No. This is symbology. This is spiritual symbology. These are the fallen. So these are what we were talking about, the low vibration. You can call them demons, reptilians, fallen angels, all synonyms. I think we're starting to see, if you go even online, that people are getting videos of incredible things right now. And we just had an amazing event here in Las Vegas that a green meteor, and they saw the UFO and the cops saw it. And then they got video of these 10-foot things in a backyard that do not look human. So
they have to wake up because, a lot of people don't believe in it, but it's there. Proof.
The Bible talks about fallen angels and Lucifer and Nephilim and, fallen entities. So that's what Jim was saying, is someone would come along that has authority to wrestle with lions of the night. And so that photo that you put up before, the top left, you can see Lucifer. I list in my books all of the names he uses. He likes to change his name because if you think he's innocuous, then it's an easier way for him to come into you spiritually.
And how you attract them is on the lower vibration. You have to be careful what you're attracting.
Personally, my belief is that ultimately is what overcame Jim in his life. But Jim foresaw that someone's going to come after him that had authority over that thing.
Yes.
And that Jim would be with them. So it was great. It was amazing. It was premonition, prophecy.
Exactly. And when you see and when you look up like people that have experienced the dark side, hell, 99% of the time are people that took drugs or they feel suicidal. It's all the lower dimensions. So that's why we have to be very careful what level we stay on. I mean, everybody gets depressed, sad, anxiety, fear, and all that. But if you stay on that, is when they come and join you on that vibration, because it's like a channel for people that don't know. It's like being on Z100, so things of that level will attract to you. So you have to be careful what level you're attracting. And a quick hello to Phil. Phil, welcome.
An interesting note on what you're saying there. Jim's bandmates said he was into psychosis.
Wow.
So my opinion, and I have a degree in psychology from the University of Michigan, is that a lot of mental illnesses are mischaracterized because they are missing a spiritual component to them. For example, somebody saying, I'm hearing voices. That could be psychosis. That could also be spiritual attack.
I believe 99% of it is spiritual attack.
I do too.
They all think that you're nuts, but it's really a spirit.
Try talking that with a mental health professional who is not religious.
I know.
You're going to have a real problem. So that movie just came out, Nefarious, and that's a great movie that demonstrates that there is a differential in diagnosis. There is more than one thing at work, usually in those kind of things that are diagnosed. And then heavily medicated, which doesn't get rid, right? If you heavily medicate someone who's possessed, does that really remove the entity from them?
Of course not. I think you'll bring more to them.
Exactly. Correct, right? Right. So this is the discussion I hope gets out there more in the public.
Wow. And you are going to sing for us, but not yet, after the next break. So everybody's tune in so you can hear how he's very similar to Jim Morrison, which is amazing.
Do we know which song yet?
Whichever one you want.
Okay. All right.
We're going to do that in like 10 minutes after the next break. But right now we'll discuss more about the similarities of Jim and how did you feel like you were him? Because I know that some people maybe didn't watch the other show. So
yeah, no, for me, it was real simple. And so I was raised, I think I mentioned this in the previous episode we did, but I was raised very strict religious Catholic. Rock and roll was Satan, and it was forbidden in my home. Wow. Around the time of my junior year in high school, Oliver Stone did a movie called The Doors, and I really wasn't into them at that point. I had bought some CDs. I was like, why do I know these lyrics? Why is this music so familiar to me? And then I had my mom take me to see the movie, and I walked out of the movie going, I think I was that guy. There was just this draw to him. And I watched that movie probably 100 times since then. And I never get sick of watching it because every time I watch it, I learn something different. He was so good at what he did. And this is why I want to do this, is because he has tons of fans, millions of fans.
Oh yeah.
I don't think anyone really realizes the brunt of what he took head on by coming out. See, because Satan figured out who he was real fast, really fast. And you look at the things in his life that his bandmates may have been not happy with, or, whatever it was, but he came and he said, I'm going to take this on full bore. And by the time near the end of his life, he wrote an American Prayer. And he was exactly telling you who he was in that. It's just, I don't know who really was listening.
Wow.
I was.
That's amazing.
Every line of that poem can be taken and shown how it was a prophecy 50 years into the future.
Wow.
Yeah.
Explain to us the dead cats, dead rats, sucking on a young man's blood, wishing he would come.
So I'll do a little singing here. All right. So Jim recorded Break On Through. Those lyrics were never in the original recording of Break On Through. This was something he added as an intro, and a beautiful intro with an amazing drum solo. But I'll say it is a very specific reason why he added it and what he's saying. So I will sing a little bit of that intro. He goes, "Dead cats, dead rats, did you see what they were at? All right, sucking on a young man's blood, wishing he could come." So he's saying this vision of, he called these dead cats, dead rats, think you're an aristocrat, fat cat in a top hat, that's crap. He's calling out this elite class that he knew in 2023 would be into these satanic blood rituals. So that's the sucking on a young man's blood.
Wow.
Jim Caviezel has come out publicly and said he's aware of things in Hollywood like adrenochrome parties, right? These are very, very sick satanic sacrificial rituals that are meant to harm our children.
Unfortunately, yes.
Right. So Jim was seeing 50 years into the future that this is where, some people would be spiritually. And he was saying, then he goes back to the soldier. So it's back to the soldier, sucking on a young man's blood, wishing he could come. So he realized that these really depraved kind of elites would be into these rituals that had this very bizarre sexual component to it. And if you want to talk about the low vibrational energies, that's what's driving these behaviors. It's like almost hell unleashed, right? So go back to the discussion of hell. I think hell has been unleashed on earth in many regards. So we know that money usually typically corrupts, and there's a class of folks that don't see like any kind of moral barrier with their behavior. So Jim was calling that out, and that was the beginning of Break On Through. So then he goes into Break On Through, and he's saying, to get rid of this, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other kingdom, break on through to the kingdom of light. And that's really what he was trying to say in that.
Explain the line from the unknown soldier. Wait until the war is over and we're both a little older.
Yeah, so I'll go back to that. So again, he's referencing us being together.
Right.
We'll both be a little older. I mentioned in my first book, when I started piecing together everything, I was an age where if you added his age at death, 27, it equaled 70. So he talks about ride the snake to the lake. The snake is long, 7 miles. He's referencing that we need to hold off on bringing heaven to earth until the timing was exactly perfect, which we ascertained was going to be around December 26th of 2016. And that's when Mary appeared, fulfilling the prophecy from 95 AD, the woman clothed with the sun. So that was actually the photo we saw that you put up twice. You can see in her veil, and she's got 3 different colored orbs right on her forehead, right on her third eye. So she was there saying, I'm with you. Let's roll, boys. Sons, my left and right jaw. Let's open the gates of heaven. Let's get this thing going. Because if we don't, we're going to be, and it's almost like, I mean, there's days, Linda, where I wake up and I'd be like, was it enough? Because it feels like many days that we failed, simply because of what's still continuing, wars and these agendas that are just anti-human, transhuman.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
very unfortunate. I know. It's very unfortunate. And it's sad that he died so young, 27 years old.
There's a lot of people that say, well, he faked his own death. And I can assure you that he did die, but he did come back.
Welcome back.
Let's go play.
So that is so funny. But yeah, there's a lot of people that don't believe in past lives, and they don't believe, but it's okay because, we all experience things, and that's how we become believers. Like, I remember my past life. It's not like something that you've never experienced. When you experience it, then you know that it is real. So.
Yeah, I'll say on that note, I didn't believe in it either, and it ran contrary to my Catholic beliefs or what I was taught to believe as a kid. But there's zero way that I can deny this connection with him, and nor do I want to, because I think he is one of the most amazing poet, lyricists, prophets ever to walk the face of the earth, other than the one we nailed to a tree for no reason. And in many regards, we did the same thing to him because, he was convicted of trumped up crimes in Miami that he didn't do and nobody saw him do, and went to Paris and, probably said, forget this place. And, it led him to a downward spiral, but not before he didn't put down some of the greatest, almost like Nostradamus-like prophecies on tape.
Wow.
Yeah.
And explain your name. Even your last name is from France.
Yeah. So he mentioned many times, where's the wine, the new wine, dying on the vine. And so my middle name is spelled with one S. He was James Douglas Morrison. Mine's Matthew
Wow.
PInard. My last name in French, PInard, means jug of wine. And so tonight I'm living up to it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I keep going back over what I wrote, and I was like, man, there's no way he could have not seen this and not known. And it was his big wink to the world,
Exactly. That's true. Was wine his favorite drink?
Yeah, there's great stories about. So on that note, I'm going to address this in case John Densmore or Robbie Krieger by chance see this. But there were stories of Jim in recording sessions being able to sit, drink 36 beers, and still deliver a perfect track.
Wow.
On that note, because we are conjoined, so two spirits in one body, and obviously spirits relates to spirits. We do have fairly high thresholds. Not that I try to do this on a weekly or even nightly basis to try to see what I can do, but we did have pretty high tolerances. And for Jim, I'm not advocating alcohol abuse at all, but it was where he was getting this communication from. I'm just going to be honest. He was opening himself up, and sure, there were other substances, and sure, maybe even harder liquors, which I don't like myself. But ultimately, the way I look at it is he was sacrificing himself to get this so important string of messages that would become so much important later. Because really, ultimately, if you look at what he did, there's no way he could have known these things without a God or a creator or a heaven.
Right.
And in my opinion, that's the greatest thing he did, was help bring back belief in what he called the other kingdom. And I think that's what's the very thing that is hurting right now in this world is a lack of belief. Martin Luther King used to say, the root of all sin is lack of belief.
Exactly. That's true. And
yeah,
go ahead.
Well, if you don't think there's a consequence, then what's the point, right?
Exactly. Then people do what they want, whatever they want to do. Everything's a consequence. Okay, we'll be right back right after this message. Stay tuned, everybody. Hi, I am Linda DeVitis. I am a psychic, clairvoyant medium, and certified healer. I have also written a book, My Journey from Darkness to the Light, which is available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and on my website, www.healingsonthego.com. If you would like to book an appointment with me, call me at 917-929-4935. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back with my special guest, Matthew PInard. So, like I promised everybody, you're going to do another song for us. You're going to sing one.
I got to have a request. Is there no request?
Let's see. One of the famous ones. Come on, pick one.
Okay.
Which one are you in the mood for?
All right, let's see. Wait until the war is over and we're both a little older. The unknown soldier. Breakfast where the news is read. Television, children fed. Unborn, living dead. Bullet strikes the helmet's head.
Yay, very nice.
So can I unpack that a little bit?
Sure.
So another prophetic message, right? Kind of like dead cats, dead rats. Unborn, living dead. Think about that. Our unborn children are living spiritually. Our people that are doing these dead cat, dead rat ceremonies, right?
Exactly, the wackos.
Yeah, are dead, living dead. So very prophetic, very amazing.
We have one request. People are strange. Sing it for us.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Can you guys hear him?
Yes. He's coming out of your mouth. That's beautiful. Very nice.
It's kind of a lovely brother story. You know, that's the way I look at it.
She said, wow, sounds like Jim. And she said hello to you before, but I don't know if you could see the messages. Yes, you do sound like him. That's amazing. Very, very nice. So let's see. Do you want one more? Are you in the mood for one more? And that's it. We won't bother you anymore.
No, I don't mind. I love singing. I wish I had a venue.
Uh,
All right, let's do something. I live uptown. I live downtown. I live all around. I had money. Yeah. I had none. So that's kind of prophetic too, because Jim had money and I have none.
he has to send you some.
Yeah, from the grave, you son of a bee.
That is so funny. Well, in this life, I guess he wanted to be humble. You see, he picked a different suit, more enlightened, more spiritual.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't take it with you.
Exactly. He's
Didn't
like,
do him any good in Paris in 1971.
He's like, I'll change up the suit and be more humble and more spiritual, which is great.
And that's what the book, that's what the books are, is what flowed through me because I made that choice. There's, in book 8, you guys showed the cover of it, or you're gonna, like unbelievable miracles of healing. Yeah. I had a relative and their lungs appeared in the sky and they went back and they got a clear lung scan after being diagnosed with something degenerative. There's a gentleman that was just in the New York Times that we prayed for, and terminal heart cancer. I've never even heard of that. And Pepsi can size heart tumor. And now it's the size of an apricot, quit all Western medical treatments. And now is living way past when they said he'd even be here.
Wow. And if we can show the book, will be great.
Yeah. But that's Jim wanted to, that's a shaman. That's the true definition of a shaman. Native American shaman, they believed they would have laughed at Western medicine. They're like, I know how to cure this. Ha ha ha. Get rid of your anger. Right.
Exactly. Bobby, if you're on, show us the book. It's an amazing. How many books do you have? Like 8 of them?
This will be number 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to, where can they? Oh, good. There it is. In the Key of Belief. Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah. So my website's just my name there, just as it's spelled there. Matthew with 2 T's, Douglas 1 S, and then PInard, PINARD.com. You can order them from that site, or you can go on Amazon and find my name. But I think
you can find them there.
Yeah, I've been fortunate. I've had a number of people contact me after reading them, and they gave it 5 stars, and like, this changed my life and gave me hope and belief like I've never had. So, my opinion is I'd trade that former career for that kind of response any day of the week.
So that's awesome. So I forgot what I wanted to tell you now. Oh yeah, is this book the spiritual, or is it about Jim, or?
This one, it does delve into where I think we are spiritually in the world in terms of the rise of Antichrist agendas and calling out specifically who's behind them, probably to my own detriment. Hopefully I don't, hopefully I don't, I'll lose my life over coming out and saying these things. But, it's that coupled
Be careful
with
what you say.
I know it's that coupled with, tracking where the world is at in terms of God speaking through natural disaster, but also the flip side of wrath, in my opinion, spiritually is healing.
Exactly.
And we have a merciful God. And so there's a number of stories in that book that are people, there's one guy who had lupus of his leg, and his leg was, it's an autoimmune disease where it attacks your own body, and his leg was twice the size on one side. And we got him back to normal, but got him back to throwing his kid on the beach, and his leg went back to the normal size.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And then I do my candles, which do miracles. So we all doing our own miracles. You do it through your way, I do it through my way. It's a miracle. It's amazing. And there's so many other light workers that do awesome stuff too.
Yeah, and I've been wanting to say, I think I love that you have me on here. I've personally wanted to, I'm a believer in star seeds, and
yes,
I know a few out here that I have an Arcturian friend, and I'm Anunnaki Orion, but I think that we should all be in some kind of a Facebook group together, if
great.
Not doing things like this more often and explaining the results we're getting. Because I have not sold a lot of books to date, and I think it's a shame, because I think this could change the way medicine is, or it could help somebody across the country that doesn't even know who I am. Exactly. And what I've witnessed, and what I could help potentially bring to their child. So yeah, I think there needs to be more, of a unification of us light workers.
Exactly. And now that the energy is lifting, we're going to another dimension. So it's better people awakening more. Like, you would hear more about manifesting, where not even 5 years ago, it was just a few of us. So now, little by little, things are moving up. And by reading your book, reading my book, I have my book here too. It's amazing. They can, help with things. Mine is My Journey from Darkness to the Light. They can always find it at my site.
And I did read that, and I did see so many parallels.
You did? Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I saw, like, how you talked about seeing spirits as a child. I didn't really start seeing and hearing them till later in this life. And so when you described what it was so amazing, because when you described what it was like, I was like, I understand that. A lot of people may not until they have that encounter, but I think it's something that we can't continue to just say doesn't exist.
Exactly. And especially when they have their own experience, then they know, because some people will read it and won't believe it. But when you witness it with your own eyes, then it's a totally different story. You can't say it's not real, right?
When you see an entity take your wife's form and turn to you, and its face goes black and it vanishes into the wall, that will get your attention every day of the week.
Oh, yeah. And that happened to my sister.
It happened to me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It was the same thing. That thing would turn into her, but the difference was she looked shorter, and in real life she's taller. So I was like, and she would go right through the wall. My dad used to see it too. Go ahead.
I hate giving them any kind of platform, because they can't do anything nearly like the higher arches in terms of healing. Putting somebody's organ in the sky and showing, it being healed, and then that person goes back and gets a scan and they're healed.
Wow.
That's
a miracle altogether. Exactly.
It is, and that's what those fallen entities are giving up being able to do. And they wouldn't even go out of their way to want to do it, because that's love, that's belief. Those are the two keys to heaven. That's the opposite of what they believe in. They believe in fear. They believe in anxiety, depression, right?
And that's what people don't know. how do you can actually unconsciously feed a spirit. Now, my mom used to always tell me when I was younger, she said, you cannot leave just a little portion of your food because it's like you're giving them food. Energetically, you can feed them off your fear, anxiety. That's the smoke. That's what they thrive on because that makes them grow. They're at a lower dimension. So they're not actually going to eat the food, but the energy behind it.
You know, it's
Yeah.
funny you say that because I think my opinion is your mom had some kind of sense that she had a different child.
Me
And
and
it's funny. Well, I'll tell you a little story. I got a friend who's a pretty well-known actress, and I sent her son a birthday card, and she sends me this email. She goes, "What did you do to my kid? He told me you were going to send him a card." And I was like, "Well, you have a psychic child."
Wow.
And so this is a woman that doesn't believe in this realm.
Wow.
And she's sitting there going, my child knew what you were doing. And my point is that goes back to that song, what I was singing earlier, unborn, living, living, dead. So the unborn, or the ones that are recently born or more recently born to this world than we are, have this connection to, they know where they came from. Trust me, on some level. And they carry some of those gifts in here with them from that constellation or wherever it was. So we got to be more receptive to that. You know, I can tell you there were times when I was not treated well as a kid because I think people sensed I was different. And
Yes.
that led to a lot of isolation and depression and, you know, and it was only until I started honing my gifts where the expression of those gifts replaced the hurt from that rejection, if that makes sense. So my hope is for these younger kids, you know, like you probably, Linda, you know, growing up in the 70s, 80s, there wasn't words for what we were.
Exactly. We were known as the nutcases.
You're like, oh, we just saw the Exorcist. Bring him a priest.
Exactly. That's where my mother always brought me and my twin to the priest because she thought we were losing it. She's like, help them, go pray over them.
Which, in my opinion, doesn't mean that was a good place either.
I know, right? Well, they couldn't help too much. I mean, they would bless, but I used to see them as clear as I see you, you know, and at a very young age. And I used to pray, please, God, take it away because it was so scary and overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I totally
understand. That's exactly what happened to me when this thing took this form in my room. And, you know, the next day it was holy water all over the room.
Do you know that urine? This crazy lady told me, she's like, if you pour urine all over your house, they won't come near you. If I pour urine, my husband would have a heart attack. I go, I'm not putting urine.
No one else is going to come near you either.
I told, and then Steve's like, my husband, he's like, she's got her screws loose. But anyway, we only have like a minute or two. So if someone wanted to find you, where could they reach you?
Yeah, my website, MatthewDouglasPinard.com, MatthewPinardAuthor.com. Those are the same sites. So
awesome.
Just Google my name or just plug it into Amazon. And I deliberately put my contact information in my books. So if it does spark something in you, like, hey, maybe I have a child that this guy's talking about, you know, reach out. There's no judgment. There's no fear. There's no rejection here.
And to find me, everybody, you know where to go. Linda DeVitas, healingsonthego.com. Thank you so much, Matthew, for being on. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for singing for us. You're amazing.
It's such a shame it's not a career anymore.
You never know. You never know.
I've tried.
Everybody. Thank you for tuning in and have a great night. God bless each and every one of you.
Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome.